presentation because there's some confusion about fire alarms. Maria, you can record if you want.
Yeah, I'm recording.
Okay. And then I'll get into some humor, and we'll need to laugh afterwards. So the other night, the first fire alarm went off because a confused resident pulled a pull station. And the fire department showed up, as they do, and they searched for a fire, and there was none. And so then you have to reset the pull station and also reset the fire alarm station, and then there has to be somebody at the reset pull station, and then somebody at the alarm station. And so it takes a little while to coordinate all that. That's why it went on for so long. And then last night, or early this morning, the alarm in the Carlisle went off again, and that was a laundry room, and apparently some dust on a smoke detector, and the fire department responded again, and they were able to reset the system. But it does take some time. The silver lining I said earlier, at least you know the fire alarm system works, but we need to do everything we can to mitigate fire alarms, especially unnecessary fire alarms. What'll probably happen in memory support is that we'll put little boxes on top of all the pull stations that alarm when you lift the box, so that residents won't go up there and pull them thinking that they're a call light or something, or emergency pull station. They don't look anything alike, but some residents get confused, and some residents just want their husbands, and they think that pulling that red station will help us get them there. But it usually doesn't happen. So I always like to start off with a little humor. Say, good looking, can I have your number? Get your own, I'm next. That's a really sparkling smile you got there. Yes, I put my teeth through the dishwasher this morning. Whoever said don't cry over spilt milk hasn't seen the price of food lately. That is true. My butt fell asleep. I know I can hear it snoring. That has not happened to me yet. So, does that really happen? Does your butt fall asleep? I don't know. I hope not. We always hold hands when we go shopping. If I let go, she'll buy yarn. My God, have we been burgled? No, the grandchildren came around. I am living that. I know that is true. All right. I'm going to try to play a video. It's about 10 minutes. And it's really a video about Alzheimer's. And I want you to know why we fundraise for it and how it touches our hearts to see residents and family with Alzheimer's. And hopefully this will play well. Let's see. Can you hear it okay?
Yeah.
It's not on there? Why is it doing this to me? Let me do this. Yes, I did. Let's try this. All right.
Life is living in a constant search, looking for something that isn't there.
This is how Patty describes life with dementia. Born an only child. In a few years, she would become valedictorian of her high school, graduate magna cum laude from Syracuse University. Now, daily activities often leave her lost and confused.
I walk down in the kitchen in the morning, and I have to stand there and say, okay, you make your coffee. And the voice goes, how do you do that? I mean, really, I do that with everything. I mean, when I first realized I was doing this, I would be turning around in a circle in my kitchen saying, okay. And I didn't tell anybody I was doing this, because I didn't want anybody to know.
Generally, patients with Alzheimer's or other dementia don't recognize signs of the diseases themselves. It's develop. Takes months to a couple of years before they really realize something is dreadfully wrong here.
As it continues, it impairs everyday life. So eventually, people cannot take care of themselves.
Dementia and the most common form of dementia, Alzheimer's disease, are largely associated with aging and are among the fastest growing and most devastating epidemics in the country.
Dementia and Alzheimer's disease are diseases of the brain that affects memory, but can march on either slowly or abruptly to involve other cognitive functions. Table, penny. Can you repeat that, please? Such as planning, sequencing, naming, calculation, to the point that it affects someone's ability to function on a day-to-day basis.
When you say the truck rolled over the stone bridge,
So,
the truck rolled over.
Loss of memory really defines the disease, and it also defines who we are as people. Without our memory, we have in the past, we can't, in the future, we can't appreciate the present. So I think many of us truly fear getting Alzheimer's disease because we fear losing who we are as people.
The truck rolled over the stone bridge.
Dementia is a remarkable disease. It spares nobody. It spares nobody regardless of race, gender, and wealth, socioeconomic status, what you did in life.
Dementia and Alzheimer's disease affects about 10-15% of people over the age of 65 and up to 50% of people over the age of 85. The Americans over the age of 85 is the fastest growing population and segment in our country.
It's going to be an enormous problem only because we are just at the beginning of the baby boom generation, the boomer generation turning 65.
So if you fast forward that to 10, 20 years, you can see the magnitude of this problem.
The statistics on Alzheimer's disease are alarming. Every 68 seconds, someone else is diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
Not only is it increasing in prevalence, but it's probably our most costly healthcare condition, and will continue to be so for many years until we have some corrective actions. It's billions. I think if you took dementia as an industry, I think it's bigger than Walmart.
I would characterize this disease as the most important medical problem today. More than 5 million Americans suffer from Alzheimer's disease, more than 30 million people worldwide. And because the fastest growing segment in many populations is the elderly, the expectation is that the prevalence of Alzheimer's disease will triple in coming decades.
When I started doing the research, the cost of Alzheimer's disease care was around $100 billion a year. Now it's far over $200 billion a year. And again, by 2050, it's estimated to be more than $1.2 trillion a year. In fact, Alzheimer's disease, which now has moved up from 8th or 9th leading cause of death to 6th leading cause of death, will bankrupt the world economy. It will bankrupt the United States, it will bankrupt the European economies, it will bankrupt the Japanese economies. Any of these countries that have populations that can live long enough to get Alzheimer's disease, which is a disease of aging, will face these tremendous economic burdens.
just 5 years after leaving the White House, former President Ronald Reagan's diagnosis brought Alzheimer's directly into the spotlight.
It was 1994 when my father was diagnosed, and people really weren't talking about Alzheimer's that much. It was like a well-kept secret, and suddenly overnight, everyone in the world knew that my father had Alzheimer's. I had to accept this as how I was going to lose him, and I didn't know, nobody could tell me how. I mean, nobody could tell me how the disease was going to unfold or what was going to happen.
Popular TV personality and entrepreneur Lisa Gibbons has spent years in front of the camera. But few knew her personal story unfolding in recent years behind the scenes.
Alzheimer's, I think, is the cruelest
lowest sentence that can happen to a family. And it does happen to a family, like death in slow motion. So for our family, we felt like what millions of other families feel like. We were really lost.
Lisa's mother, who had been her lifelong inspiration and best friend, was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
My mom's decline was over 10 years. I remember one of the first times that I had to come to terms with the fact that she didn't know me, which is, I think, the hardest moment for all caregivers. You know, how can you be so close and so important and share so much and look at this woman and there's just a vacant stare? I had gone home to help my mom at her house and we were making the bed. And Mom looked up and she said, "You are such a nice lady. Who are you again?" And I took a moment to feel that awful hurt and that stab in my heart, and then I knew it was the disease. It was not my mom. And I said, "I'm your daughter. My name is Lisa, and I'm always going to be here for you."
It's a loss like no other. Because as this disease progresses and as people lose their memories, they also lose their relationships. And so family members talk about living with a stranger, living with someone who's no longer there anymore, because that relationship is lost.
The losses are staggering and they're often slow. It's been termed a long goodbye. The patient is slowly losing pieces of who they were. So it's a devastating disease for families and their loved ones. A difficult aspect is that patients often have limited insight into their cognitive losses, their memory losses, so they may not understand the devastation and the losses that they have suffered, where the family members see it and they feel it, and they feel the loss of that loved one very deeply.
Alzheimer's has a tremendous impact on the family. So first, there is the disease itself that steals the patient away from the family. Their personality changes. They become a different person in many cases. They become forgetful. They need more help. So one effect is just the grief that the family goes through and seeing their loved one disappear before their eyes.
The toll is emotional, physical, and financial. Patty had plans to leave an inheritance for her son.
I have a reverse mortgage, so they can't take my house away from me, they being the big monster I don't know. But, I mean, I could be drained of every bit of finances I had, and which would be this inheritance. That terrifies me. How can this happen?
I've taken over many of the family responsibilities that I didn't do before paying. I always paid bills, but now I do the taxes and things of that nature.
She does everything.
Rabbi Harry Roth cares for his wife Lillian, who has Alzheimer's, virtually every moment of the day.
We was having lunch just a few minutes ago, and we looked up at one of the women whom I didn't recognize, so she must be a new resident here, was being wheeled out in a wheelchair, and above her head were 3 balloons which said 100. She turned 100 years old today. There are people here that are over 100 years old, and the fear, the estimate how many people are going to be suffering from Alzheimer's in 10 years or 20 years is unbelievable.
This year, the federal government declared war on Alzheimer's disease, releasing its first ever national Alzheimer's plan.
The national plan is first and foremost, I think, about putting the spotlight on this condition. And so focusing people in terms of their efforts and coming up with solutions. A big part of that plan is actually in investing in research. But there are other aspects of the plan that have to do with supporting healthcare and helping healthcare really reinvent itself.
We're not ashamed or afraid to use the term Alzheimer's. And I
Oh,
hope
so many people think it's like a venereal disease. I
people are perhaps going to be as afraid, and they'll get help when they can.
More on how the U.S. healthcare system is reinventing itself to address the Alzheimer's epidemic. The promise of new Alzheimer's drugs, and what we can do to help prevent Alzheimer's and other dementias in our next reports.
Good. Why?
So, that's why we fight so much against Alzheimer's disease. We're doing pretty well. Ruth, team's up to 41,000. Our goal is to hit 100 plus, right? So we're on our way. We have a matching pledge of 50,000. We have some events coming up, and I'll share those with you. I want to thank everybody that has participated already and donated for this cause. Alzheimer's Texas is who we raise money for, and they provide support and education for folks with Alzheimer's and families that are dealing with Alzheimer's, and also supports research in Texas. And we've made some strides with research on Alzheimer's disease and identifying it and creating some drugs that slow the process down. There is no cure yet, and there won't be unless we keep fighting for a cure. And appreciate all of you residents that have participated. Some of you donated to me and many other people on the team. And I would just ask that you continue to participate in the events that we have, and it's a really good cause. The food truck festival that we had raised $5,300. Westminster is going to match that, so it should put us at around $46,000. So we're getting close to the 50,000 mark. Then we have the dog show coming up, which is always a neat event. Friday, September 1st. How many of you have dogs? Well-behaved dogs? Keep your hands up. Me too. I'm in the same boat. But it's a dog show, and everybody's welcome to participate. This is a lot cooler slide that Ruth put together for it. Kind of describes it's 1:30 p.m. up here in Harrisville Hall. $5 donation. Grab a signature Westminster cocktail. Yeah, so that's not too bad. And then there'll be a way to get a portrait of your pet, which is a perfect gift for you and your loved ones. Okay, they make great Christmas gifts as well. And then of course the dog show and the judging is always a neat thing. So if you have a chance to attend that, make sure you do. Westminster Silent Auction is October the 5th. And that's our last fundraising event for our fundraising season for Alzheimer's Texas. And we always try to stop that so that we're not conflicting with the Resident Association's appreciation fundraising. But it's so far they've gotten hotel stay, Kalahari Resort stay and pass, gift certificates, wine tastings, theme park tickets, dinner with family and friends, and exciting prizes. And I think, are you doing a raffle as well?
Yes.
You're going to do a raffle as well. Look forward to those things. COVID-19 in Westminster, no active cases at this time. Yay. Visitation is allowed with no limit in healthcare. Masks are not required in healthcare or assisted living. Please stay home if you're ill, and you also must screen in with the AccuShield system when you visit one of those levels of care. I know that's a little redundant for you residents, but we have to log every visitor. Before I get into questions and answers, there was a plethora of questions this month, and I've been very busy. Unfortunately, I did not get to all the questions. So if you submitted questions and I don't address them this time, I will address them next month. A lot of questions, kind of all over the place. And I tried to do what I could to address those that I know are multiple concerns about it. 1890, I got 3 or 4 questions about 1890. I reached out to Spectrum again. They said the funding is complete. There's a problem with their design, so they're trying to work through that. And then hopefully we'll schedule an install. They did not give me a date again. When the fire alarm went off at 2 a.m., it went on and on. I was told today Westminster can't turn it off, the fire department has to. However, there was no all clear. Isn't it supposed to happen? And yes, an all clear is supposed to be announced. And we're looking at a way to compartmentalize each building so that you can make an announcement over those emergency stations just in each building. We may end up getting another emergency call system if this one doesn't do that. I believe it should be able to. They tell me so far, when I've asked that they can. Would you please remind everyone that cell phone use for making or receiving calls is prohibited in our dining rooms? Who of you doesn't know that? Oh, okay, there's one. So keep an eye on him if you would. And everybody else knows it, so that's no problem, okay. Can you remind residents to leave decorations, this will be an interesting question. Can you remind residents to leave decorations and equipment in place for all to enjoy? And I had received this question 2 times this time, I'm not making this up. These items should not be taken to residents' apartments. So who of you are taking our decorations to your own apartment? You were quick to volunteer before, not this time? Okay. Our decorations and equipment are the property of Westminster and should be left in the common areas for all residents to enjoy. Taking items from others, including the community, is theft. This includes carts, wheelchairs, etc. And you're really stealing from yourself in a way, because who pays the bills here? You do, right? Your monthly service fees pays the bills, you pay for the decorations. In a roundabout way, you're just stealing from yourself, so don't do it. If you need or want something, please reach out to us and we will help you acquire it legally. So even if it's a decorative ball or that flower picture right there, we will find a source for you and we will help you get that for yourself. You don't have to steal it. If you need a wheelchair or a walker and you don't have one, reach out to us and we will help you get one. We're happy to do that. Has an arborist looked at the oak tree in the Preston courtyard? Will it make it? We have had a few arborists look at the tree. We have been told that the tree will be okay, and it is being treated through a care plan with urban dirt. So there is an arborist that works for urban dirt, and he's put together a plan for the tree. Now, a few years ago, we had a different arborist that said, yeah, that tree's not gonna make it. And then one before that said, yeah, maybe we can inject some nutrients in the ground around it. So we did that. And I know there's some dead areas on the tree that need to be addressed, but you really don't want to cut those right now, right? We're in a drought. So we need to let the tree alone. We're watching it, they're watching it, you're watching it. And I know we all are, and we love that tree, and we don't want anything to happen to it. We're gonna do our very best to keep it alive, and it does have a care plan. So, as people mention their concern about the tree, make sure that they know, well, there's been a plan of care developed for the tree, and we're all, praying for the tree. Hopefully it'll make it. The magnolia tree is doing great, knock on wood. Okay. How long is the alarm supposed to ring? See how I threw in a funny one in between the others? It may ring sound until the source has been identified and resolved, either by putting out the fire or eliminating the cause of the alarm, and the system is reset. So sometimes that could be real short. It could be a minute. Sometimes it could be 15, 20 minutes. It just depends on the location and what is going on. Sometimes I'll give you an example, in the Preston one time, in the Laurel kitchen, they had stacked some towels up, and they had been used previously to wipe up oil and stuff, and they combusted. They caught on fire and started smoking, and it took them about 20 minutes to get to that and put it out. But they did, but it's a long time. Sometimes, the Carlisle's been a rough, probably 2 months. And part of it is due to the alarms going off because the resident pulled the pull cord or pulled the pull station, or we had this laundry issue last night. But previous to that, we had been tested, inspected by the state and the fire marshal, and all of these tests that are required tests during a survey. And so you experienced all of that as well. And so it's been a rough couple months for the Carlisle. It should settle down, and we should stop pulling those fire pull stations unless there's actually a fire. So if you have friends that, you know, they're walking by and they see the red pull station and, well, I really am tempted to pull that, see if it works. You can assure them that I've been through it, it absolutely works, let's pass on, you know, go find some ice cream or something, have a good time, don't pull that. When an alarm sounds, do we exit the building and wait outside or stay in our apartment until someone alerts us to evacuate? I'm gonna ask all of you, do you leave your apartment and go stand outside when the alarm goes off? Yes or no? No. No, that is right. You do not have to evacuate. Number one, both the Windsor and the Carlisle building are sprinkled buildings, right? So if there's a fire that occurs, it's typically gonna be put out by the sprinkler system. The Preston building is built into fire zones, as is the Windsor and the Carlisle. And those fire zones protect the occupants. So if the fire breaks out in an apartment, it typically takes 30 minutes to get beyond that apartment in the Preston building. If the fire spreads to another apartment, there's a 2-hour fire zone. So past the fire doors, when the fire doors closes, you get past those doors, and it will hold the fire in that area and in that floor for 2 hours, up to 2 hours. We will tell you when it's time to evacuate, okay? So you shouldn't have to leave your apartment for any reason during a fire alarm. And please don't walk your husband or wife down the stairwell. Again, you really shouldn't have to do that. And most of the time, it's false alarm. Somebody burnt the bacon, burnt the oatmeal, burnt the toast occasionally, but seldom is it actual flames. Once the alarm is no longer sounding, should there be an announcement that all is clear? Yes, there should be an announcement, and I understand that did not happen the night before last. It did occur last night. Did everybody get an announcement, all clear?
Yes.
It woke you up? You know, any of you? Yes. Question, are recyclables being recycled? Yes. Even the compost. Just a reminder, so when the fire alarm sounds, residents should shelter in place in their apartment home, but be alert and prepared for the potential of an evacuation. You'll be notified by our staff if you need to evacuate. Residents should refrain from calling a reception desk, because chances are we know what's going on as well. There is no need to press your pendant, because that just creates more emergencies, right? Or pull a fire pull station when the alarm is already sounding. Because why would that be? We're pulling people away from the actual location, right? So if the alarm is already sounding, no reason to pull another pull station. If it rains again, and it's windy or there's a warning, you know, I think they're having some tropical storms. Just to go over this one more time. This is when a tornado warning for our area, when it's announced over the in-house emergency boxes and also over the business phone system, that is when you would evacuate your apartment. And the reason we ask you to do that is to move into an interior hallway, a corridor, away from windows and doors, exterior doors. And so when we would announce an all clear after the tornado warning has subsided. But we do that mostly because of flying debris hitting the glass and potentially, you know, injuring you. So again, you know, shelter in that location until an all clear is announced over the systems. Around elevator vestibules is an ideal location because there's usually some chairs sitting there, and it's away from the exterior doors and the windows. Again, there's no need to press your pendant or pull a fire pull station during this type of emergency unless you're injured. And I'm not gonna go over this slide. Reminder, Westminster's campus shuttle is available for service. Please contact reception security when needed to request your shuttle. The shuttle service is available from the hours of 8 a.m. to 9:30 p.m., 7 days a week. How many of you have used the Westminster shuttle? Good. This is for on-campus primarily and to the Grove if needed. How many have gone to the Grove already on our shuttle? A few? Okay. Is the restaurant any good? Yes? No? Yes? Okay, good. It's called Carve, is that right?
Yeah.
And then there's supposed to be a Tex-Mex restaurant as well? I'm sorry? Verdad, okay. Has it opened yet?
No.
Not yet, okay. Dining reminder, the hours for the Rowan Restaurant are 4:30 to 9 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. You do need reservations for parties of 5 or more, but 4 and under are welcome to walk in. The Rowan Cocktail Lounge is open from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. on Mondays. The dining room restaurant is closed on Mondays. The Rowan Cocktail Lounge is open from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday, and this is the phone number for reservations. Again, walk-ins are welcome as long as 4 or less. Project updates. So the interior signage project has been postponed. They're having problems creating the signage with their printers. They expect to have the project start in mid-September. They are also aware we sent them pictures of the signage that they incorrectly installed, and it's supposed to be addressed as well at the middle of September. Window washing has begun. It looks like they're doing a really good job. I think they're on the Windsor in this interior courtyard right now. The woodworking shop is open for use. Residents can be trained on operation of the equipment, so don't go in there by yourselves and try to use the table saw if you've never used a table saw before. There is a release of liability that we'll have you sign as well, similar to what we did for the pool. Spectrum Wi-Fi, so the WAPs are supposed to be installed mid-September. So they'll start, they have the wireless access points on the campus today, and their Spectrum is scheduled to come in and start installing those in the middle of September, which is more than we've gotten from them in a while, as far as dates go. The solar systems, the AC work has been completed on the Carlisle. We're waiting for the city inspection. The Windsor was complete, but had a problem with one of the inverters, so it's having to be replaced. When it is replaced, it is also ready for Austin Energy inspection. We believe that should occur around September the 1st. The service for the Preston solar is a lot more complicated. I think I mentioned this in my last chat, but we had to get bids for electrical work to bring the Preston electrical work up to the new code, the new building code. And we've gotten that. We have approval from the board to move forward with the project once we receive the bid. So we're just in the process of getting that scheduled now. But there will be, similar to what we did to the Windsor and the Carlisle, there will have to be a shutdown for a period of time for the Preston to be connected to the solar grid and for this electrical work to be done. And so it's, it's kind of a big deal for us to shut down the building. We definitely don't want to do it when it's really hot, unless it can be managed down to just a few hours. The Carlisle, we were able to shut it down for just a few hours to do the connection, and then of course the generator would come on and support the entire building, but the Preston doesn't have that capability. So if we take down the electrical on the Preston building, it's probably gonna be more like 10 to 12 hours of shutdown, and we would bring in some temporary generators to supply power for the building during that shutdown. But still, you don't wanna do it during the heat. 105 degrees outside is not a good time to shut down the air conditioning. So we will wait for the proper time. They'll do all of the work that they can up to the connection piece. So they'll be replacing breakers and panel boxes and things like that, running some new leads, and also preparing for the new generator install that comes with phase 4. but that's, again, down the road a piece. But at least we're making progress on the solar, and we're just weeks away from the grid going live, which is good. The Pottery Studio is going to be set up over the next couple weeks, and it should be open. I think Ruth has found an instructor, and we'll start some classes on that hopefully in late September, early October. And I'm curious to see what kind of bowls you all make in pottery, and how we can make revenue off of it for fundraising for Alzheimer's or whatever we do. And I hope your bowl doesn't explode like mine did and hurt everybody else's project in the kiln. But I still got a B on it. That wasn't terrible. Ruth's office is complete, and if you haven't seen it, you should stop by, right? It looks beautiful. It has a great wall, accent wall, and I like it a lot. Much improved. What? Welcome, yes. Accounting and Preston administration currently being renovated, likely mid-September that the accounting offices will be complete, and maybe we'll do an open house there. Those people have been working in cubicles for about 20 years, the same cubicles for about 20 years. And so they're getting a little upgrade, and they might be in a better mood then and be open to visitors, which would be nice. Preston Boiler Project, we're making slow progress, awaiting a schedule for a crane. I know that there's been some let's see, what is it? V-wing hot water problems that they've been addressing over the last 3-4 days. They put in a new boiler and then the pump went out on that section. The pump is being replaced as we speak. It should be up and running in the next 3 to 4 hours. I apologize for the inconvenience. I will say that the boiler that they put in place is much improved, so you should get really good capacity out of that boiler. And this pump that they're putting in is a temporary pump. They'll have a larger variable drive pump be brought in over the next few months. But this will suffice for the time being. The Windsor Boiler Project has begun installation work on the plumbing. The pump has not arrived for that building, so you have a hot water system, but it's not as good as it will be. Once this new larger pump arrives, it should improve everything drastically. It's expected to be installed in September, so early October, that project should be finished. At this time, you should be getting really good hot water in the Windsor though. If you're not, then please reach out to my office, okay? Let's see. Oh, we received recently Mature Media Award for our annual report last year, and then we received a Gold Safety Award. So if you see associates around, you might congratulate them on this Gold Safety Award. They may not know what you're talking about, but it's pretty neat. Life Care Services gives this Gold Award to their top tier of communities with regard to safety. And so Westminster's had 0 lost days for several years with our associates, and we have continued to decrease the cost of our work comp insurance over the last 10 years. And so it's a great savings to Westminster and to the residents that we're able to keep our associates safe and healthy. So, using the 2022-23 insurance target report for data analysis, this is probably more than you care about, but Westminster is being presented with this acknowledgement and recognition. Community must be in the LCS Advantage program and have met their workers' compensation goal for the policy period. Gold level communities landed in the top 5%. And so not only do we get this award, but we also get $2,500 to spend on safety programs, which in turn promotes safety and helps our associates be safe and not take shortcuts. Just a reminder, star cards can be used for any associate, including those in management and supervisor positions. Star cards can be turned in at any reception desk or any member of management. You can also send just an email, and we'll make sure that those get to the associates as well. Star cards are received by the HR department and tracked, and a star of the month, year are awarded, and then we do a big award award ceremony at the end of every year. And that's all I'm gonna do today. Ruth, can we do some, you wanna do some Q&A or you wanna go home? Who wants to do Q&A by applause? Oh, they wanna go home. I'm fine with that, you can go home. Are you bored? What do you wanna do? You wanna go home? I love it. Okay, now by applause, who wants to go home? Okay, by applause, who wants to stay here and interrogate me? Oh, go home it is. Enjoy yourselves. I'll enjoy the rest of my afternoon as well. Thank you all very much.